Hello, Bibby, and welcome back to part 3 of owning the stage, owning an audience, right? Making a performance your own, stealing that captivation from the audience. And we've spoken about number 1. We've spoken about eye contact. We've spoken about body language. Now I would like to talk about the voice, right? Voice, like eye contact, like body language, these are the big 3, right? These are the big 3, the biggest 3 that you could possibly get. There is so much that you can do with your voice. And like I mentioned with body language, all the small nuances, all of the character choices, the way in which you can deliver your lines, the volume, accent, these are all things that can drastically change a character and the way that they attack a scene, the story, their motives, a battle, all very different. We've spoken about with eye contact and body language, being open and being closed, right? Being meek, being strong. That's something you can do with your voice, right? Maybe they talk a little bit more under their breath, right? In theatre, obviously, you've got to project. In film, that's something that you can play around with a little bit more. But, you can stage whisper and you can do smaller things, right? You can be much more closed off with your voice, or you can be much more open with your voice, right? Extend the syllables and physically control the space with your voice, right? Make sure that your voice is booming off of every wall in the theatre, right? That's going to captivate a lot more. That's going to that's going to steal their ears, right? We're talking about stealing their captivation, stealing their attention, owning them, right? If you're this big, strong, I'm going to say Mark Antony again, right? Giving his speech to the rebellion. If you're booming your voice, you're extending those syllables, you are making sure that every single letter of these words are heard, you can't escape it. I mentioned Cadillac 3 and the stomping in last episode, right? Go check it out if you don't know what I'm talking about. If you're booming off of the walls, the audience cannot help it. They are listening. They can't do anything about it. Compared to if you're a bit meek and, you're missing a couple of syllables, but, you've got to still be heard, obviously. Rushing certain words, you're more closed off. People are like, okay, what he has to say isn't as important. He's not stealing my eardrums, So right there, volume, great way to captivate an audience, great way to steal their attention and portray different character choices. Secondly, accent, right? Everyone's heard countless different renditions of Mark Antony. What makes yours special? Mark Antony you might not be able to do as much with, but, what if he had like a really thick Italian accent, I remember I did a play, or I do a monologue. I do a monologue of Beyond Therapy by Christopher Durang. That's what I was thinking of. The name was escaping me there. He is a therapist who he himself is insane. It's a very, very fun monologue. It's one of my audition monologues. I auditioned to many schools for it and parts roles. I make him Scottish. He's not Scottish. He's, American. I've never seen a Scottish rendition of him, but to me, being from the UK, there's this big idea of the mad Scotsman, like you just see the Scottish as mad, which is nothing wrong with, and there's no aggression there. There's just this perception of, the mad Scotsman. So I made him Scottish. And that adds a level of depth, that adds more interest to my character, that spices things up when maybe people have seen the play a couple times before. I'm going to make mine different. you know, and with accents, I can make him more mad by going in and out of it and adding inconsistencies that are still Scottish, you know. Accents are a great way to just add that level of depth, of authenticity to the character, so that people actually are really, really paying attention to what you do and seeing the small nuances. And then thirdly, adding mannerisms to the way that you speak, right? Again, just to add a level of depth, add a level of interest, add something nuanced, something crazy, something that hasn't been seen to a performance that has already been seen, right? Say, for example, you're doing a performance of Othello, right? And you've got Iago, who's kind of this manipulator, this puppet master, right? He's kind of a snake, you know? What if he talks like a snake? And by that I mean, like, you know, what if he really stresses the S's, you know, or whistles them like, right? Look at this place, you know? There's fun to be had. There's fun to be had. There's all these tiny, tiny choices, is my point, that you can just add up to building such an in-depth and such an enjoyable performance. And all of these things, voice, body language, eye contact, they're going to help you command an audience attention, right? Steal it, grab it, change it, mold it, manipulate it towards who it needs to be seen at, you know? It's just probably the most important job as a performer. Is to captivate that audience and to change and alter their opinion, their ideals, their view on a certain matter, right? Or on the play itself, or on you as a character, right? You know, how are you going to make your character unique and seen differently? You know, what if you did a performance of Richard III and you made Richard III, you know, this fucked up hero from the get-go, right? And it was all like a change of perspective. You know, I want to, and I've talked with Baze about this, you know, in like Poet Warriors, we hope to do all these wacky Shakespeare plays where we take them and make them our own, you know? And I've always had this awesome idea of doing Iago, the play, right? Where it's Othello, but it's all done from Iago's perspective. And, you know, that's going to change a lot. But how are you going to make the audience see that change of perspective from a story that everybody knows so well, right? These are just a few reasons and a few ways.
Tasty.